Hello and welcome to the first official Basement Sports Talk podcast. My name is Steven Villani. I'm here with my good friend Sean McGee, and we got a good amount to get through today, Sean. Are you excited for the first official podcast that we're putting out for our website?
That is a understatement. Me and Steven secretly, I guess, have been working on this for a month or two now, ever since kind of this coronavirus pandemic happened. Since we've had more time, but we've been talking about doing something like this for about a year now.
Right.
A little background of ourselves, if I can go into it, Steven.
Yeah.
Me and Steven met pre-college, going to Marist College, which is in Poughkeepsie, New York.
So we were juniors. Just
juniors
finished
going
our
into
junior year of high school.
Yes. And we met each other at a sports communications little program for like 2 weeks. Became really close friends there, and then ended up going back to Marist to get our bachelor's degree. Me being the smarter one, I'm getting my bachelor's degree in 3 years with a sports communications and journalism major, and Steven will get his in 4, so he's the regular kind of guy. There's nothing wrong with that, but I just want to say my intelligence is what makes this, or what is going to make this podcast so special.
If that's what you think, I'm gonna let you stick with your bold predictions here. I'm just gonna do my job, keep my head down.
But anyway, the reason me and Steven really created this podcast was to kind of brighten people's day, try to give people something to smile about in a stressful time. We know with coronavirus and people being affected by it could be hard to deal with, and we think maybe just by creating this, it could give you guys a little laughs, a little escapism,
right, something to look forward to,
and sports.
Yeah.
I know
everyone loves talking about sports, and the worst part about this whole coronavirus is that nothing's going on. So we're gonna do everything we can. We have a bunch of fun stuff planned for today's podcast. We're gonna have a bunch of fun stuff planned for our future podcasts as well. Not even just podcasts, but videos. We've been on Twitter a lot. If you're watching us today. April 24th? Friday, April 24th, when we're recording this. We're putting out a bunch of content, and we're just going to keep doing that, get you guys to laugh. Obviously, Sean's already trying to do that by slamming me right away to start off the podcast.
That wasn't slamming. That was just facts, okay? That was just facts. I'm finishing in 3 years, you're finishing in 4. But regardless, I think we just want to have fun doing this and have you guys come along. I know we don't have that many followers yet. We're new. We just launched our website yesterday. But I think once you guys listen to us, you're going to see how genuine we are and that we actually do know a decent amount about sports, I hope.
We would hope, yes.
Steven with his phone notifications again, he never turns that
off.
I
am the basically the Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport of this group. I find all the information, latest breaking news, right before anyone else gets it.
AKA, Steven relays the information to me, and I put it out in a colorful and creative way that people actually like to listen to.
I.e., we both do it in a creative way, and hence we're in this together. There's no I in team.
There is an I in...
Although, as Kobe would say, there's an M and E in that motherfucker.
Oh, there's the first curse word on Basement
Sports
Talk. I'm sure Mrs. Villani would not like that when she listens
Mama
to
T
this.
is not going to be happy. Mama Tara, no.
But I'm sure my dad would love that when he listens to it because Papa McGee already has an article on the website called The Evolution of Fantasy Football. Very interesting read.
Very good read.
But it does have a slight amount of curse words. I think 2 are in the first paragraph. And I told him, honestly, without my editing skills, there would have been more curse words in that article.
100%.
But anyway, we're just having fun here. Sorry if we curse, it slips out sometimes. I'm not going to try to curse that much, but I'm sure Steven will slip one here and there.
Now, Sean, shall we be risky here and tell everyone what our favorite sports team is and run the risk of getting criticized for how bad some of our teams have been in history or recently?
If you can't publicly say what team you're rooting for...
We've already said our football teams. It's all out there on the internet.
Yeah, that's all out there.
That's the worst kept secret here on Basement Sports Talk. Sean's got his Cowboys. I got my New York Jets, baby.
New York Jets, you gotta love them.
Sometimes, like I said in the video, and just endless swirl of mediocrity.
Like we said, or like we said, you only had one less win than the Cowboys
Yes,
last year.
and we did beat you guys last year.
That was a
remember.
fluke.
Hold on
It
a
was a
second.
fluke.
Hold on a second.
We're not going back
I do remember
there.
telling you a week before this game started.
I told
because,
you that's actually realistic
Yes.
because that's a game the
Yes.
Cowboys would lose. I said that, did I
Yes,
not?
I said that's a game the Jets would win because Sam Darnold's coming back. And,
Yes, you
and
did
that's
say
exactly what I said. I actually picked the Bengals to beat the Jets
What,
when
did-
Andy Dalton was coming back.
Did you not think Nick Falk? What was the guy's name? Falk. What was the backup quarterback?
The backup quarterback?
Falk or whatever?
Oh,
You didn't-
Luke
you didn't
Falk?
trust him? You didn't
No,
trust
he was
him?
a practice squad quarterback. We would have had a better chance playing with a quarterback from the Flag Football League
I don't think so
than
about
with Luke
that.
Falk at quarterback.
But anyway, let's go. Enough NFL. They
Or,
probably
yes,
think we're all
let's-
NFL. We
yes.
we love all sports. I won't
So,
say the same.
Let's
but we
go
love all
into
sports.
a little bit of NBA. We have a little topic we wanted to talk about. While we're doing this, I will say I am a Toronto Raptors fan.
For no reason.
Actually, for a very good reason.
And no reason.
When I first started playing and getting into basketball it was in high school. I wasn't a big basketball fan. And I started watching and playing fantasy basketball, excuse me. And I picked DeMar DeRozan, and I just fell in love with his game. DeMar DeRozan is currently the best one of the best recreations of Kobe. May his soul rest in peace. Obviously, we mentioned one of his famous quotes earlier. But
I do like him as a player.
yes,
I think he's a very good
so
player.
I decided after the whole Kawhi trade to stick with the Raptors, and my gut feeling was right. I'm not one of those people that likes to change teams and follow players. Usually, when I pick a team, I stick with them. So when I picked the Raptors, that was my team, no matter what happens.
I
That's
think
what
a
I'm
lot
sticking
of
with.
people follow that guy LeBron James.
Yeah, a lot of people follow that guy LeBron James.
I don't know.
I don't know why.
I don't know
but-
if it's true, but I mean, I knew tons of people that just all of a sudden, they were
he
Lakers
any good?
fans. No, but they were Lakers fans, but like literally, a year ago they were a Cavaliers fan.
Oh yeah,
It was
you're
very
right.
interesting.
I do remember that. It's this thing called the bandwagon.
Yeah, that is
People
true.
are hopping on these bandwagons constantly.
But you just said your favorite NBA team. Now
Yes.
here's mine with a heavy heart. It is the New York Knickerbockers,
Oh God.
and I have endured a lot of pain, Steve.
Hey, you see? I understand your pain because I'm a Jets fan. See, this is something you don't realize. You make fun of me for being a Jets fan, but I feel the pain of what it's like to root for such a sucky team for so long, missing on draft pick after draft pick.
I get you. And the Cowboys have been decent in my lifetime, right? But they
have.
haven't really achieved any greatness. I have seen 8-8 team after 8-8 team after every Jason Garrett clap after Jason Garrett clap.
He's the most
And-
valuable clapper.
And I'm excited for a new chapter for them, especially with them drafting CeeDee Lamb. I know we're not going to go too much in the NFL draft. We've kind of been covering that on social media accounts, but I'm very excited for that.
So, like I was saying earlier, our first topic is which teams in the NBA, if somehow, some way, the NBA season were to start today, which teams off the start of the season, could win the NBA championship?
If it were to start
If
up
it were
right
to
now.
start up right now today, breaking news: NBA starts up today. Who you picking to win the championship? And they're starting playoffs immediately.
It's gonna be hard for me because I think the winner of this year is probably a Western Conference
Mm-hmm.
team. Though the Bucks is obviously, I think in my opinion, were first and foremost way better
Right.
than any team in the East.
Correct.
The Heat gave them a little trouble. I
Mm-hmm.
really love Jimmy Butler and how competitive he is.
And I think that's a perfect team that he's in too.
Yes.
I think going into a situation with a bunch of young guys that actually were willing to put in the work, unlike
Duncan,
what people in Minnesota were able
who's
to do.
the shooter? The white shooter, Duncan Robinson?
Duncan Robinson.
Do
They
you
also
know
got
where
Tyler
he
Hero.
was? Do you know where he was from?
Where is he from? No.
He was from Michigan, right?
Yes,
But he was at a D3 school
that is right. I do
Coached
remember that.
by
Yes.
the old Marist coach who got fired. I
Mm-hmm.
really appreciated him, Mike Maker. And Mike Maker was on Beeline staff at Michigan before he had a head coaching job at D3. And he called Beeline up and said, "Hey, this guy is way too good for D3. You have to take a look at him." And there he goes. He goes to Michigan, makes an immediate impact, gets drafted. I think it was a late second round draft
Right.
pick. But nonetheless, you went from D3 to D1 into the NBA. What a great story. And
Right.
one heck of a shooter.
Oh, one heck of a shooter. one heck of a shooter. I think I read somewhere that if the season were to continue and he were to be continuing shooting as he were, 70 to 75% of his shots would have been from 3-point range.
Yeah. And
That's insane. And counting the amount of shots you realistically take in an NBA season period, some guys, James Harden is out here taking 36 shots a damn game. You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. And just the Heat. Now, as we're talking about the Heat right now, because we just kind of transitioned to that, I would definitely say that's a dark horse. That would, if it started up again, a total 100%. Dark horse of mine. You have Kendrick Nunn,
very good player,
who is he believes he's the Rookie of the Year over Ja Morant, which is questionable, but he has put up great stats, and his team is winning.
Yes,
and his team is winning.
His team is winning, unlike the other two. That is in Zion Williamson
Ja
and Ja
Morant's
Morant.
in like the 8th seed of the West, but the West is harder than the East. I will say that. But I guess that would be my dark horse. Mm-hmm. I like the Bucks from the East. I think they're the most competitive team from the East. And then, obviously, I think the Western Conference Final would be the two LA teams.
Yes, of course.
Which I think would be a fantastic final.
Don't sleep on the Nuggets either. I think the Nuggets... You're going to say that as well?
Gosh.
Yes, I'm reading your mind. Dude, I'm reading your mind.
All right, but I was about to say, one of those teams is going to have to get past the Nuggets.
Yes.
Which I say with Jokic, Murray... You have Gary Harris, right?
Gary Harris. Baller.
The thing is, I've talked to people about the Nuggets as well, is that they don't have the enough star power to beat those two LA teams. And that right. I kind of would agree, but I wouldn't be surprised if the playoffs started up, right, and the Nuggets took one of those LA teams to Game 6 or Game 7.
Right.
I would not be surprised.
I would not be surprised at all.
But I just think both those LA teams, Clippers and the Lakers, have just a little bit of an edge over them.
Yes, I agree, 100%. Now, see, obviously, I'm gonna want to say a different answer if I'm being biased, but without me sounding biased, I'm going to say the Raptors because of a few different things. Now, in my opinion,
are we saying the Raptors to go to the NBA Finals? Is this what we're saying?
I think if the season were to start up today, I think they would have the second most likely odds behind the Bucks. And when I say second most likely odds, I give them tied with the Heat, because I know the Raptors this season have struggled against the Heat in the regular season. Granted, they're a very good team with good length and a solid defense, but what the Raptors were able to do with how many injuries they had throughout the year is a testament to how deep they are as a team. And sometimes in the NBA, depth is more important than the star players you have. You know what I mean? Sometimes that sixth man. Look at Fred VanVleet last year in the NBA Finals.
Absolutely. A good bench, and obviously a sixth man of the year, is so vital for a championship run. I mean, it's crucial. I do agree with you, and the Raptors are as deep as any team in the NBA. I just don't know if their starters match up with some of the other starters in the league.
The only starter I would consider up to, he's a level below Giannis, maybe 2 levels below Giannis in terms of the
Siakam,
star.
You're talking about?
Siakam, yes, in terms of star ability. Siakam is just a great story. He didn't start playing basketball until he was 17, 18 years old.
And he's a freak of nature.
He was a priest. He was supposed to be a priest.
He's a holy man.
He's a holy man. He was the 27th overall pick.
He was Toronto's savior once Kawhi left.
Oh, I know. He played incredible. And Kyle Lowry, this is the best statistical year of his career.
And it got cut short.
At 33 years old.
Suspended, But you're right. Kyle Lowry was performing well with Siakam. Fred VanVleet
was also
Powell was
Norman Powell when he was playing.
Going off.
He was going exactly.
I do like it. I do like the Raptors. I just don't think they have enough.
Yes, I don't think they have enough, but I see their ceiling as the second choice to the Milwaukee Bucks in the East, tied with the Heat. So I'm not saying they're going to, if anything, the Eastern Conference Finals is the farthest I could see them going.
The Eastern Conference Finals would be probably, I would imagine if it would start, would be the Bucks and either the Heat or the Raptors.
And that's more to the depth,
and that series, regardless of what team it would be, the
Heat or the Raptors,
I think it would go to Game 7.
Yes, it definitely would. It 100%.
I mean, obviously we could speculate this all we want because there's nothing else to really do. But I do think that would happen.
Yes, and in the West also, we obviously have the 2 LA teams, but how about my personal dark horse, Luka Doncic and the Mavs? They were not
What seed
performing
are they?
terribly. They were, I think, right now.
Like the 4 or 5.
Maybe that might be a
6?
little high. I could check.
It really does stink, but it makes sense that the season gets suspended. And all the sports season gets suspended, considering what's going on.
They
But
were the
you would've
7th
loved-
seed when the league was
7th
suspended.
seed. Okay,
The
so they
7th
weren't as
seed
high as I
behind
thought.
A game and a half behind the Rockets.
Porzingis
and
still
Thunder.
is finding his way too, even though he
How
almost
about
had a
the
whole
Thunder?
season.
To come to think about it, if we're talking about surprise teams this
Yeah,
year, how
well-
many people counted them out
Well,
at the start of the year?
everyone saw Chris Paul and
As
thought
being
of
an
a
old
washed
guy,
up,
yeah,
washed
but
up
he's
point
not.
guard, and he's still balling out.
Yeah.
And they have Shea Alexander, right?
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah, he is very good, very
solid.
young.
And Steven Adams.
Yeah, Steven Adams has been a solid center in the league for years. But yeah, I mean, you can't leave them out.
No, you can't.
You have to acknowledge them.
There are some very talented teams. But going back to the Dallas Mavericks, Luka Doncic was arguably the MVP up until he got hurt, and then he started struggling when he got back. But he was playing some incredible basketball and doing something that we haven't seen since a prime LeBron, you could say. Like LeBron, not to say LeBron's not good anymore, but doesn't have the same steps as he did when he was in his prime.
And that is no.
And that's no knock on him at
That's
all,
what I'm
because
trying
he
to
is
say.
in incredible shape, an incredible athlete.
17th year, right? He's in
Yes,
his 17th
17th
season.
or 18th year.
He looks great.
Yes, he looks great for his age.
And honestly-
LeBron, props to you. If you ever hear this by this, like the astronomical odds, if you actually hear this,
The Basement Sports
the
Talk
Basement
first
Sports Talk
podcast.
Radio, LeBron, I am not knocking you in any way, shape, or form. You are a fantastic basketball player, the greatest of all time. Many consider to be.
Age catches up to
Age,
all of
yes.
us, especially me. I mean, I am fat, out of shape. At 21 years old, my career is over, so I switched to talking about sports rather than playing. If anyone has tried to see me play basketball, I am better than I look because I got the goggles, but, it's not the prettiest
Looking
sight.
like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar out there.
I'm very fundamental. Very fundamental. I make the right passes. I'm not going to wow you, though. And I got to get subbed out in 2 minutes because I'm out of breath.
Well, moving on to the next segment, now that we'll wrap up this portion of the NBA, how about we talk about...
Before we start, can I just say
Yes.
one thing? Papa McGee is coming in clutch, I think, with the pizza for us.
Ah, very nice. Very nice.
So I just wanted to put that out there. He's also the only person to put an article on our website
Yes.
yet. So I had to say pizza and the article.
Shout out to
well
Papa
done.
McGee.
Well
Big
done.
shout out to Papa McGee. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about some underrated sports and why we think they're underrated.
I'm all
You
for
wanna
it.
you wanna start with that?
You want me to go?
Yeah, you go. I'll
So
piggyback
obviously, a lot of people that know me, a lot of my close friends, they get on me for this. But the people that don't know me, I think soccer or football in America is one of the most underrated sports in this country. Now, obviously,
off.
across
Now,
the
do I
rest of
think
the
the
world,
MLS is up to snuff with the Premier League?
No,
and
I'm
all
not
these other
saying
leagues?
that.
Definitely not. But I do agree with you that soccer is very undervaluated.
and there is
underappreciated.
problems in the MLS and the U.S. structure that I'm not even going to go into
Oh, yes.
in this podcast because it would take too long.
We'd have a 30-hour-long podcast about that and all the corruption that's been in that
Exactly.
whole spectrum.
Yes. But I just think it's underappreciated because you have American families that grow up watching American football and basketball, and you see football and you see the contact in football, and that's the quote unquote manly sport to do
Right.
and what you want your kid to do. But and you see these soccer players, going around defenders, and you see the flopping in it. And there is flopping in it, and no one's disagreeing
Neymar
with
is a
that.
big,
no one's disagreeing with that. But you can't tell me
big
that there
culprit.
haven't been soccer players that have legit gotten the what
Yes.
kicked out of
Oh,
them
yes.
in different type of tackles. Going up for a
So-
header.
Soccer is a very
concussions.
underratedly physical sport, and
People,
that people don't
exactly.
realize.
There's so
Like,
much. There's so much that
imagine-
goes.
Imagine how messed up your feet are just from getting cleated all the time.
That-
I played soccer I played soccer up until I was my senior year of high school, so when I was 18 about, and my toenails are the ugliest things on the goddamn planet. I've never
No,
been more
that's actually
grossed
not
out.
true. Have you looked in the mirror?
Yeah, there it is.
You know it was coming.
You knew it was coming.
But I agree with
Yes.
you. And you had a soccer career that lasted until high school, and so did I.
Yeah.
I was not your position. I was actually a goalie for people that don't know. I played with a bunch of cool players that went to actually Division 4 German league, which is really fun. I played with another guy that got looked at by Lazio and Stuttgart. Lazio in Italy and
You want
Stuttgart.
to shout him out?
Yeah.
Shout him out on this podcast?
Oh, Yuri, my friend is Yuri. I haven't talked to him in a while. I was actually going to reach out to him soon because while we're talking about this thing and soccer being underrated, I'm making this little film right now with another friend. I don't know if you actually know him, Steven. My friend Zach, but we're making a film with a sporting director who's coached at Barcelona, who's now coaching soccer here
Right.
in America.
Oh, you did tell me about
I think
this,
I might
yes.
have mentioned to you, and he is in this film. Once it comes out, we're still working on it right now, but he talks about how just 2 or 3 policy changes within the MLS and within the Soccer Federation of the United States, it could put soccer in America can become I'm not going to say number 1 sport in the country,
But it can get up there with football and basketball and all that.
And we can bring in these greater players just by a couple policy changes in the MLS, and MLS will become so much more prevalent because the living standards in the United States are the best in the world, and
Right.
all these players know that,
Right,
so they
and
would come over.
All this talk of recognition is giving me a fiery passion to announce my pick for an underrated sport, which is Ultimate Frisbee. I played in college at Marist College. It is one of the most fun sports out there. People are sleeping on it. The premise of Ultimate Frisbee is kind of like football combined with soccer combined with handball. You move the frisbee down the field. You can't walk with it. You can't run with it. And you have to pass it to your teammates while people try to defend you and intercept or knock down the disc. And it's self-refed. That's another thing that's really cool about it. That not a lot.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
It's self-refed.
It's self-refed. So every call you make is made by the
what
players
happens?
themselves.
What happens if there's a disagreement?
If there's a disagreement, basically, there have been some crazy disagreements in my day. So you're either going to get into a screaming match with the other guy about it, or you're just going to be, some of them are just like contested. So if you call a contested foul, basically say, I try to go up to catch a frisbee and some guy pulls down my hand. I say contested, I say foul, you pulled my hand down. And if he says contested foul, which obviously it's BS if he pulled down my hand. If he pulled down my hand, it's obviously a foul. Most times they would, if they admit that they caused a foul, then if I were going to catch the frisbee would then go to me. But if he contested the call, the frisbee would go back to the thrower.
Gotcha.
So it would be almost like as if you ran the ball for 10 yards but got a holding call. Mm-hmm. It would just go right back.
Understand. So you replay the play.
Yes, you basically replay the play.
I do think, I'm not the biggest Frisbee guy. I think if you're playing it, it is fun. Mm-hmm. I do think it's a little hard to watch.
Well, actually, something cool. The AUDL,
I know,
the American Ultimate
I follow
Disc
that on
League,
Instagram.
yes, they have a deal now with Fox Sports.
Do they really?
Yes, they do. So now their games are going to be broadcasted on Wednesday nights.
Because I know the champions of that league usually only get like $20,000. Is that going to go up then? Probably if they got a TV deal.
Maybe if they got a TV deal with Fox, it's very possible.
Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying. Like Frisbee is starting to gain more and more steam and more recognition. And if you want to play a fun sport with a good team mentality, and that's what you're interested in, Frisbee is a sport for you.
I think
the people in that sport are some of the nicest people you ever meet. 100%. It's a very kind and loving embracing. Obviously, you're going to meet competitive people wherever you go, but more often than not, you're going to have a good interaction with even an opposing player that you're playing against.
Yeah, and I think you're spot on with, I was trying to say, how it's almost compared to European handball. Mm-hmm. I think Frisbee here in America is kind of like what European handball is to Europeans in Europe. Right. So I think that's a pretty good comparison. I know a lot of people that have European backgrounds like handball a lot, and I know our friend Ray.
Right.
He got into Frisbee and loved it. He actually didn't even make the team the first year and loved it so much he tried out again.
Right. And I would just like to quickly shout out because of this whole Corona thing, me and the frisbee boys and girls were not able to make it to nationals this
Here we
year and
go.
try to compete. So I just want to shout out the team. You know, I love you guys. I know this sucks, but we're gonna come back better than next year, and we're gonna play for the nationals. We're gonna win nationals. We got this.
What a great little sentimental message by Steven Villani to his team. That was
Yes,
just so
it's-
lovely. Now, can we go on to our next topic, please?
Yes, and if you would like, what is your opinion on this new Rob Gronkowski coming out of retirement news? Because we saw that he came out of retirement, was just traded to the Patriots in exchange for a 4th-round pick, and I think they also sent over to the Bucks a 7th-round pick. So if you're the Patriots, you gotta leave from this trade pretty happy because you were able to get a 4th-round pick for some guy that just retired and moved on to the WWE. And here's the thing: Rob Gronkowski, legally, according to the WWE, has to defend his title even if it's during a Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. He's not
how is
allowed
that
to
legally?
go play. I have no idea. I guess it's in the contract he signed, but since he won the WrestleMania, the 24-hour WrestleMania-a-thon, he has to come
I
defend
actually
his
didn't know
title.
about that.
Yeah, he has to go defend his title no matter when, where it is.
That
So
is
that's a
interesting.
very interesting storyline because for all we know,
I'm
the
sure-
Patriots not the Patriots, the Buccaneers could be playing in the Super Bowl, and Rob Gronkowski might need to be playing or doing the WWE Wrestle-a-thon.
That is interesting that I didn't know. Actually,
to
Tom
defend his
Brady's on the
title.
TV right now. That is in my
Oh,
basement.
and if you have not been watching any of the live streams that Rich Eisen and some of these other guys on NFL Network have been doing, it is funny as hell. There was this one instance on the show where Tom Brady and Russell Wilson were just going at each other, and it was one of the funniest things out there. And you just love to see that competitive fire burning in these two rival quarterbacks who actually played in a Super Bowl against each other.
That is great. Going back to the Rob Gronkowski
Yes.
thing, though, I see there's a couple takeaways that I think of. One that we talked about in our previous videos is how smart the Patriots are to make a 7th-round pick, a 4th-round pick out of a retired player.
And we know how good the Patriots
Yes.
are at drafting. We've said it
Belichick
before.
will turn that 4th-round draft pick into an MVP somehow. You know how Belichick is. Then other takeaways I think about him coming out of retirement is how good of a fit is he actually going to be in Tampa Bay? I think when he's with Tom Brady, they're obviously mesh well together. We've seen that
Right,
in the
yes.
Super Bowls they've won. But
Although, I
with a
will
new
say-
offense, new coordinator, that's not easy. That's a difficult
And
thing for any
here's my
NFL
other
player.
thing. Gronkowski is going into a situation where it's basically a win now. So yes, he's coming out of retirement, and it's not like he's going back to the Patriots, who are kind of in this rebuilding mode. He's now going to a team that's expected to compete for championships for the next 2, maybe 3 years if Tom Brady can keep up his performance.
With Tom Brady, at the helm.
Obviously, he has been defining this father time stereotype for forever, what seems like forever now. But there comes a point in time where eventually the age will catch up to him, and we saw their last year together in New England, they kind of struggled to find a good connection. I remember playing Rob Gronkowski in my fantasy football championship last year, and he put up a big fat goose egg. So it's just stuff like that. It's kind of alarming, and people should be kind of weary about this. And with all the weapons they already have in Tampa Bay, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, O.J. Howard is a young, talented tight end that they just haven't figured out how to perfectly use yet and fit in that offense.
Now, let me just say this, is exactly going off your point there, is they could just use Gronkowski almost as a,
As a blocking tight end?
not a blocking tight
But
end.
or an H-back or a fullback.
No, like a distraction. Like,
Right.
like they're not actually going to utilize him, but you're going to have to know he's there, because if you don't, he's going to catch a touchdown. Almost like a decoy, if you will say. And with O.J. Howard there, the thing is interesting with O.J. Howard is I had O.J. Howard last year. Inconsistent as
Right.
all heck. All right? So, but he has really good potential and a lot of promise. Do they try to trade him to get some draft capital in this draft
They
right here?
very well could.
Or do they pair the two together?
Right.
And that 2 tight end set is scary.
That is a very scary tight end set.
Now, one of the last takeaways I take from Rob Gronkowski coming out of retirement and going with the Buccaneers is, I know me and you had a back and forth about this kind of off the mic, off the camera, per se, but what does that mean with the Patriots organization and the relationship that Gronkowski had with Belichick and Brady had with Belichick?
Mm-hmm.
Brady leaves when you would say it would make sense to finish his career where he's spent the last 20 years. And then as soon as he leaves to go to another team, Gronk's like, I'm in. It's almost like he was done with the Patriots organization and the atmosphere there.
I don't think it was so much that he was done with the atmosphere there as much as it was that he wanted to, because we always, in the sports world, we have this debate of who was it really? Was it Belichick or was it Brady? So now we actually get to finally see who was the one and who was the main reason for this dynasty that was in New England.
I think,
and that's the very interesting thing about this. That's what, to me, is what's most interesting. It's just that I don't think it was so. From what I heard is the Tom Brady and Bill Belichick had a conversation before this all went down, and I heard it went very well. So to me, I still think they have the same relationship. Obviously, it's not going to be the same because they're not working together and they're not going to be interacting with each other as often. But I think it was more they both wanted to prove that they could win without the other. That to me was the main reason for the split, and I guess Gronk just kind of wanted the chance to come out and win a Super Bowl. I think that was the main thing. That was the
main reason.
I think my personal opinion and what my gut is telling me is yes, that is the main reason.
Because I think there's other reports by ESPN reporters like Seth Wickersham. Wait, what's his name? Yeah, I just was on a call the other day with Michael, because Michael Smith is my professor for Marist. For the ones that people that don't know, he used to be an anchor for ESPN. Now he's doing his own thing, making a startup company, which is really cool. But he's a professor at Marist now, and he brought in Wickersham, I think is his name, Seth Wickersham, and he was covering the Patriots in the NFL, and he talked about a disconnect between Brady and Belichick. Mm-hmm. So there was reports like that too, and same thing with Gronk.
But that's just like
and
these
Robert
rumors.
Kraft.
It's all rumors. It's all white noise. We never really know what the behind the scenes things are, because there's reports that have recently come out that the Jets are still listening to trade conversations for Jamal Adams, as just an example. But realistically, that's not going to happen, and it didn't happen. Everyone was like, "Oh, Jamal could get traded in the first round."
I don't think there's.
You know what I'm saying? It's just stuff like that. It's all white noise. Like, we never really know what can be true.
I mean, obviously, the only people that really know what's going on is the people that are within the organization.
Exactly. Or Tom Brady, Bill Belichick,
I think there are great reporters out there that have a very good grasp of what's going on.
Yes.
Is there actually problems and stuff like that? And I think we just saw a decent amount of reports that there was tension between there. I know you probably don't really think that, but I just think
I think
something
the tension is more them wanting to prove that they were the reason for the dynasty. I think that's where the tension comes on.
Well,
just a little bit of the ego
comes.
Yes, a little bit of the ego comes in, but that's kind of what you get when you have this coach and this player that have been talked about being like the goats of the industry, the GOAT coach, the GOAT quarterback. It's now, who is the actual GOAT? That's what's most exciting about this.
Let me ask you this. Now, what does it say? What does it say if Belichick goes on and wins? Or what does it say if Brady goes on and wins? What does that do to their legacy?
They're still going to be considered some of the best quarterback respectively and the best coach respectively ever. But it's just the fact of they've always had each other. They've never been like Tom Brady has only had one major injury in his career. And even then, didn't the Patriots still make the playoffs? They might not have won the division.
When Matt Castle went in.
Yes, when Matt Castle went in.
Matt Castle sucked on the Cowboys when Tony Romo was hurt. But that's a different discussion. I'm sorry for going off topic.
But it's going to be really interesting to see how this all unfolds. Because what I want to see most, really, but it's not going to happen, is a Patriots-Buccaneers Super Bowl. I think that would be the most interesting
I don't know
thing.
If that's going to happen.
It's not going to happen. But if it were to happen, that would be an incredible storyline for a Super Bowl.
You got to check your phone?
Yes. It's just Bleacher Report. It's doing hypothetical Scottie Pippen trades.
Oh, you want... Well, wait a sec. if you haven't seen the documentary yet.
I have not seen the documentary
How
yet.
this guy calls himself a sports fan and has not seen the first 2 episodes of The Last Dance. It is disgusting to me. I'm actually disgusted to be sitting across from you right now.
3 and 4 are coming out this Sunday, correct?
Yes.
When I go home and be with my family, I am going to watch it with my father, which I promised him I would. So that is my thing. We didn't get the chance to
I watched
watch
it with my father on last
me,
Sunday.
But me and my dad
that
did
should
not
have been
get
a
the chance to
priority.
watch it, so...
That should have been a priority.
Well, you know what? Some things come up.
I agree. What is there anything else to talk about, or are we about to wrap this up?
Well,
I know we're at 35 minutes.
Our excitement for what we're coming up with. And all
we do got to talk about that. Well, how about you say something, man?
Just, we're going to do everything we can to make this as fun and entertaining as possible. We got a bunch of great podcast ideas coming up. We got a bunch of article ideas articles that we're going to come out with, and we're going to do our best to keep putting content out there. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we have our website, YouTube. We're gonna have all these things that we use to get content to you guys. So hopefully you stick with us and enjoy what we're putting out there. We're gonna have fun with it. Yeah. We'll curse a little. We'll joke around. We'll slander each other, and you'll get to see us fight back and forth.
There'll definitely be
one of these days. One of these fights are gonna get out of hand.
Hopefully, by the time we fight, we'll be able to do video podcasts so you can see it. You
can see my reactions when this kid tries to slam me.
Whenever we haven't really talked about it yet, but the podcast where we talk about the Jets or the Cowboys and get into it, you will want to listen to that.
Yes, those you'll want to listen to.
Okay, I'm just giving you that in advance. But overall, like what Steven said, we're just gonna be just putting stuff out there and seeing what you guys like, what you guys don't like. There's obviously gonna be stuff that you guys don't really pick up.
And obviously, on our website, we have a space where you can give us your honest feedback.
Just go to the contact page.
Yeah, if you want us to talk about something on our next show, let us know. We'll find a way. We'll find a way to put it in there.
Steven and I, we have a bunch of these ideas right now that we're still trying to figure out the capabilities and the technological capabilities of what we want to do.
Especially with this whole Corona thing, because while Sean lives up here where we're recording, I am from New Jersey. And being with this whole situation going on, it's tough to have to come back and forth and back and forth.
Absolutely.
So we're just going to be continually putting out stuff on Instagram, Twitter, and getting our podcast out as much as possible.
Yeah, and we're going to try to do it on a consistent basis. Obviously, there's
best
some
as we can,
with what's going on, and obviously family comes first. Mm-hmm. It might not be as consistent as we want at first, but we're going to try to keep it every Saturday or every Thursday.
Right. Even if we don't have a podcast, we'll be sure to get articles up there. We'll be sure to get stuff on
tweets,
YouTube,
Instagram, even if it's single videos without me and Steven. We're gonna be putting cool stuff out there that hopefully you guys enjoy. Because we have a fun time doing it.
Oh, yes, we do. And if you want to get any of these future podcasts, we are using an app called Anchor. Sadly, however, for our first podcast, this one, it might take a little bit longer. When we put it on Anchor, it sends it out to these other streaming services for us.
If I could talk about it real quick.
Spotify, Apple Music, stuff like that. Sean is more of the business savvy, technical savvy guy.
He said it, not me.
I'm more of the sports knowledge, finding the information,
the latest
breaking
updates.
News. Yes. That is more my speed.
But
and
anyway,
fantasy football. That is more my speed.
For you who are familiar with Anchor and for you who are not familiar with Anchor, basically it's like a distributing podcast I don't know the exact word to say.
Application.
Application is perfect.
Application
perfect,
website,
Steven.
yeah.
Absolutely perfect. Thank you for that vocabulary. But anyway, it's going to distribute our podcast to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or it's called Google Play maybe, and various other podcasting platforms that you guys can use to listen to us. So what happens is the first one, which will be this one,
it'll take about a week to
for
get
at least
through.
Apple Podcasts. Yes. It takes a week because Apple Podcasts are very great with vetting what goes on their site and things like that. For let's say Spotify for say, it only takes a day, so you might be able to listen to this on Spotify.
Hopefully tomorrow or Monday.
But the plan is, while you'll be listening to it, but the plan is to post this one on YouTube, so you'll be on YouTube listening to this. And so you can listen to it that way, and hopefully we'll have some cool cover art on there to go along with the podcast. But we just have a lot of cool ideas coming up besides the podcast. like we want to play video games, maybe NBA
maybe
2K with
live
some
stream
athletes,
something,
and maybe
talk
Twitch
with
it
us,
and
yeah.
just ask the athlete questions while we're playing a game or something like that. And we're just still figuring out the technology behind it that we
Right.
can. And I know we shouted out.
Because we're college kids, we're balling on a budget. You
Yeah,
know?
that's true. This mic alone that we're calling on
Yes.
right now is $100.
Yes, exactly.
As well, what else? Oh, and the website we made was over $100
Yes.
too. And that, while we're talking about the website, basement-sports-talk.com. I said it right this time.
Yes, you did.
On a video on Instagram, I butchered it. But if you can just go check it out, it would mean the world for us.
Yes,
this
it
is
would.
this is the real honesty.
Yeah.
Is every one person that checks out an article or listens to an Instagram video or likes a tweet, retweets a tweet. I mean, that means the world
Yeah,
to me
it
and
does.
Steven.
It
Like
really
when we
does.
see one of the first video I posted on Twitter about the Cowboys taking CeeDee
Right.
Lamb has about 150 views on it, and just to have that when we only have about 17 followers
Right,
on
yeah.
Twitter or something like
It's
that
just
is
so
awesome.
to see, yeah.
So we just want to keep doing this and being consistent and coming out with new ideas.
And the more people we could reach to, the more people we could get to listen to this and maybe enjoy it or take them away from something that's going on in their real life.
Yeah.
It's just a kind of a way to make yourself be happy for about an hour or so and enjoy your
Not that
time.
you're not happy already.
Exactly. I know it's tough being happy in times like these, but it's at the end of the day, you got to just try to stay as positive as possible.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to put out here. We're trying to put out positive things into the world. Like we're working hard to get this stuff out to you and get this content to you guys.
We, as extreme sports fans that went to
Yes.
college for sports, basically, obviously it's media and more of
Yes.
that. But to break it down, we went to college for sports, so
Yes.
we know how it is, how hard it is right now without any live sports and how
Yes.
this thing is. So the whole point of this
Sports
was
are
to
about
give
80%
some
of
sort
my
of
personality, so that's about 80% of it. So you're only getting 20% of me on a regular basis.
But we know the power of sports, and maybe listening to this gives some sort of relevance to view of watching sports.
And maybe this motivates you to come up with your own ideas to go do something and maybe start your own podcast.
And same thing that we just talked about, the contact page. Hit us up with any
Get
ideas.
in touch with us.
I mean,
Yeah.
this is.
If you want to come on a show and give your opinion on something,
Yeah,
on a draft
obviously,
pick recently
we
or
still,
something like that.
We still gotta
Yeah.
work out the kinks of that. But with Anchor, actually, part of the reason why we're doing this right now, we're recording through this cool mic I got, which costs a decent amount of money. But with Anchor, we can have people on the podcast through our phone and have them just call in directly and have them on the podcast, which won't be the best sound audio as this, but it would be really fun to do with someone who we can't travel to because of this coronavirus outbreak. And we think that would be really interesting to do, considering that the audio might not be as good as what we want it to be, but we think it would be really fun to do. And the whole point of making this website, and we have invested some dollars into it, but the whole point of this is just to have fun and get people involved and just talk about what we love.
Yeah, just
what
talk
we
about
love,
what we love, sports. Exactly.
We thank you guys, to the few people that are probably going to listen to this first podcast. We thank you a lot for just listening to it and sticking to us for 40-something minutes.
Spread the word,
Yeah. And every time, like we just said, every time you guys interact with what we post, every time you talk about it with
greatly
someone,
appreciated.
it's even better.
It makes us feel good because it's glad to know that we're reaching somebody in this tough time. Even if we're touching one person and helping one person, that's all that matters. You know,
take your mind off of what's going on and just try to have fun listening to our voices. I know they're a little rough.
Hopefully we can entertain you for an hour. Maybe this will be your new thing since there's no new TV on, really. Maybe this is your new thing with your family.
It is new stuff.
It's newish, as new as it could get, but no news.
It's new to us.
It's new to us.
But anyway, before we wrap it up, we're going to wrap it up for a couple more minutes here. I just want to give a shout out to Brendan Foley, my friend, who helped us with the website, who's still helping us with the website. I'm probably going to call him today.
Getting out those final kinks and widgets, everything.
Definitely without him, it would have made it. The website we could have made a good one.
We probably would not have it done right now.
that's honestly true. We probably could have made a website, but definitely not a website that wouldn't have looked as good as what he has been able to do. And he's going to continue to help us, which I think is so fantastic. And he's been a really good friend to help me and Steven along as we do this, because as much as I've made a WordPress and stuff like that before, I haven't made it as professional and bought the premium plan like we did.
Me and Sean have different areas of expertise. We've also had a podcast before where we talked about fantasy football.
Yeah, through the Marist Center Field, which is a great opportunity for Marist students, by the way.
So if you're a Marist student listening to this,
you should jump on Center
Field.
You should. Center Field just got free advertising. I'm gonna talk to Will Beinar after this and say I want some compensation for this advertising.
If you get 5 new students in the Center Field, I think we would deserve some compensation.
If all of a sudden I see about 12 different articles on Center Field, I want some money for you getting some new authors. All right. But anyway, as we're wrapping up, just want to say thank you again. I know we've said it a lot.
We've said it a lot, but
that's just
it's the truth. It's just how we are as human beings.
We are not BSing.
No, we are not.
And as your phone goes off again.
My phone. No, that's a fantasy football league. No breaking news.
Okay.
Fantasy football. That's for still farther away.
Anyway, shut your mouth for a second.
Stuff like this is what you'll get on the regular if you continue listening.
Yeah, we're just being nice for the first one to draw you guys in, but we're just being genuine. This is how we literally talk in our basement. Yeah. This is how we talk in our basement.
That's why basement sports talk.
And this is how it got created. If you don't shut that phone off, I will punch you in the face. But we're just gonna have fun. We hope you do too, and that's it. Listen to our stuff. Hopefully we get some video stuff on there. Hopefully we play some games with people. Hopefully we have other people on the podcast. Some Madden,
some Fortnite, whatever you guys want to play.
Any idea that you think could be fun for us to do or for you to be a part of?
If you want to embarrass me on the internet, you want to play me in Fortnite or Call of Duty. I am terrible at those games.
Honestly, just talk about sports. So DM us, contact us on the website. Yep. Go check the website out. It would mean the world to us. It really would be.
We put in a lot of effort and a lot of work into this website.
No joke, we put about a month and a half of work into it, and we're still updating it to make it better for you guys to experience it. So that's about it. We're over the 45-minute mark.
We're aiming for 45 minutes for this one, but you know what? Sometimes we just have a little bit too much fun and get carried away.
In the basement, it could go over, baby. It can go over when you're having fun in the basement.
Sometimes overtime. We love OT. We love OT.
Anyway, now this is the final goodbye. We've been saying goodbye for about 10 minutes now, but we're just really excited to do this. And I know Steven, as well as me, are just so excited to just jump on this and bring you guys along on the journey with us. So with that said, finally going to stop this podcast here, the first one.
More stuff soon.
And
stay tuned.
We'll be in touch for sure. Just pay attention. That's all you got to do. Anyway, thank you so much for listening, guys.
And follow us on Instagram and Twitter.
Yes, follow us and
YouTube, all that.
Subscribe to our website so you know when the latest stuff comes out. But other than that, that's it, guys. So have fun, stay safe, most importantly.
Stay safe, stay healthy.
And we'll be in touch soon.